Hi, welcome to SBR TV. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our experts roundtable for the Wildcard playoff round in the NFL. We'll start looking at the games, 2 Saturday games, then we'll go to the 2 Sunday games. And once again, we're joined by Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com, SBR contributor Bob Harvey, and Zach Rosenfield from AccuScore.com. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, so the first game is on Saturday, is Seattle and New Orleans. This is a very interesting game. Of course, here we have a double-digit home dog in the playoffs. And looking over this game, I'm personally wondering if Seattle might be worth a big play here. They have had a subpar season. They were a pretty clear good fade at times during the year. But for this game, the weather's supposed to be, classic Seattle weather, a little windy, rainy, and on the cold side. That'll probably serve to hamper New Orleans. Of course, they play in a dome at home, and they're probably going to be relying on the pass a bit more than usual as a result of some injuries in the running game. So I'm assuming Seattle will employ some kind of ball control game plan to keep the game close. And I'm wondering if Seattle getting 10.5 points might not be an obvious great bet. It's also notable that the very well-respected SBR poster Laker Boy started a thread on SBR with the title Seahawks Moneyline over the Saints, calling for an outright win. So what do you guys think? Let's start with Scott Kellen. You think Seattle's a good bet here, or am I missing something?
No, I think they might be actually a live dog here, Peter. Seattle had a lot of problems this year, obviously. We know every game that they lost by 15 points or more, so they've gotten blown out in plenty of games. But they've had a lot of injuries this year, and, when you talk about Seattle's offense, I think there's 3 main guys in their offense, and that's obviously Hasselbeck. I know Charlie Whitehurst played okay last week, but right. I don't know if Charlie Whitehurst is the kind of guy that's going to lead them to where they need to go. But in a ball-controlled environment last week, he was fine. Obviously, he's got a little more athletic ability than Hasselbeck. But Hasselbeck, Mike Williams, who's a big-time receiver for them, and then their left tackle, Russell Okon. Those 3 guys essentially only played in 2 games this year. I think they played in some games maybe early, but that was really before Mike Williams really kind of became the Mike Williams that he is. And the 2 games that they played, they went to Chicago and actually won 23-20. And the other game, ironically, was down in New Orleans. They lost that game 34-19. But Seattle put up a lot of yards in that game. They, I think, threw for 366 yards. Ironically, they passed 44 times out of 61 plays in that game. So they came out with a pass-first attack that obviously didn't work. And I was looking at Seattle here. If I'm going to choose anything here, I'm probably choosing Seattle. I don't know that I would actually play it. New Orleans on the road this year, they won 4 games on the road by 4 points or less. The other 2 games they had, they beat Carolina 34-3. Let's discount that. And they did beat Tampa Bay early on before Tampa Bay became a decent team, 31-6. But New Orleans hasn't exactly lit it up on the road. Seattle's been decent at home when they've had all their players, and I think they might have a shot here to stay in the game. I saw it's possibly going to rain, which doesn't really bother me. If it's not real windy, I would actually even take a look at the over because New Orleans is going to get their points, and when these 2 teams played them the first time, New Orleans, every drive New Orleans had resulted in a touchdown, an interception inside the 10-yard line, or a missed field goal attempt, other than their first drive, which they went 3-and-out. And Seattle in that game only had 2 3-and-outs. So I think both teams possibly can move the ball, even if Seattle gets blown out in this game. So I think New Orleans is going to get their points one way or the other. Seattle's going to get a drive and probably produce some points early on. They'll get a late one. They're probably good for 10 to 17 points, even if they get blown out. So I think the over has a chance, and quite frankly, I think Seattle's got a chance to stay within the large number.
Yeah, I don't know. This game reminds me a little bit of the Chicago-New Orleans game where I thought that Chicago was a great tease. It was bad weather. They were a home, dog, small home dog. Turned out they got blown out. Zach, from AccuScore, what do you think? Do you think that New Orleans is likely to get a blowout?
I do think New Orleans will win this game by double digits. Our simulation line has it at 12. The point that I'd want to make, or what I would suggest to our clients, is I want to follow up what the speaker just said before me, which is I'd take a look at the over here. We project the game to go 47 points. I believe the number is at 44. Situations where we have differed from Vegas on the over-under line by 3 or more points, or 3 to 3.5 points. We're 59% on the year, and that's a really encouraging number. When I take a look at the sides, there's just not enough compelling data for me to make a strong step out on this game based on our computers. Not a lot of situations where the road team has been favored by double digits this year. Every point that was just made regarding New Orleans in Seattle is good, but I think New Orleans is a powerhouse. I don't think Seattle belongs there. I think New Orleans is going to handle them fairly easy. I just can't support it really with the seasonal data because we're just about 500 in every statistical category relevant to the sides on this game.
All right, so we're kind of split at the moment. Bob Harvey, I know you're not a big fan of the Seattle coach. What do you think about Seattle 10.5 points as a home dog in the playoffs, though?
Well, at first glance, it looks like a lot of points, Peter, but Seattle is a bad football team coming from a bad conference, and they didn't exactly play lights out against the Rams on Sunday night. Can New Orleans cover the double digit? Sure, but things have to go right. And one of them is the weather. If it's windy, that negates a lot of what Drew Brees can do, and obviously cuts into the strength of the Saints offense. So I think Seattle is just kind of one and done in the playoffs. I have no doubt New Orleans is going to win. I figure they're going to cover. And unlike the previous speaker, if I play it, I would play the under. I'm just worried about that Seattle weather this time of year. So my thought would be New Orleans wins. Don't know if they cover or not. And a lot of that, the reason I'm hedging is just because of the weather, plain and simple. As we get closer to game time, I'll have a little a firmer assessment of what I'm going to do with the game.